Good evening and welcome to Tribune Sports Live. I'm Zach Steele. Scott Buttram sitting in tonight for Chris Yao. Scott, Hewitt and Clay get huge area victories this week.
It really was. Big wins for both schools, and both of them made a strong statement this weekend.
Hewitt outlasts Bob Jones 59-49. Clay gets by Gardendale 23-20. What stands out to you in those ball games?
Well, in the Hewitt game, the thing that stands out is this was a true battle of the heavyweights. There has been some questions about who Trussville was, who Hewitt had played, the new region that they're in. There's no question when you win a game against Bob Jones the way they won it and just stood toe-to-toe, punching it out with him all night and came out on top. That was a huge statement win for Hewitt Trussville.
And Clay had their backs against the wall and gets a much-needed win against Gardendale.
I think that was a statement win as well. Gardendale has played pretty well. They've lost 3 in a row, but going into Friday night, they had lost a couple, but they've had some pretty big wins along the way. Clay needed a game to prove that they're back and they're in stride, and I thought they just put on a great show against Gardendale. Big win.
All right, when we come back, we're going to talk a little bit more about the Hewitt Huskies and their big win versus Bob Jones.
Trussville Vision Care is now proud to offer sports vision training for athletes. This sports-specific training improves hand-eye coordination and reaction time. As a former college athlete, Dr. Steele knows how important perfect vision is to succeed on the athletic field. For athletes, 20/20 vision is not enough. Trussville Vision Care.
Welcome back. The Hewitt Huskies were in another shootout, another Friday, another shootout for the Hewitt Huskies. They fell behind early, Scott. They pulled ahead late in the second quarter and never looked back.
They really did. They spread the ball around, got a lot of people into play. Elliot McElwain had a big night. Noah had a big night. Christian Stewart had a big night. It was kind of all over the field with these guys. And Grayson Cash scored again.
And really, for the Huskies, the amazing thing about this is there's been no drop off at quarterback this year.
No, none. Adair has been outstanding. He's seen the field. He's using all of his weapons. His accuracy has been great. He's pulled it down and run when he's needed to. But I think, and I want to go back to what I just said, he's using all his weapons. He's really keeping the defense off balance because he's getting the ball to somebody different. You can't get him in a pattern or a trend because he just keeps moving the ball around. He is really tailor-made for this offense.
Now let's talk about the negatives for a moment. Hewitt has a chance to be a state title contender this year. We would agree on that.
Absolutely.
But they have to limit the big plays on defense.
They do. And, the defense has kind of been a puzzle. I mean, there's been times that they played lights out defense, and there have been times that the defense is just holding on for dear life and the offense is outscoring teams. So they're going to have to get that settled to bring home the blue trophy.
Hewitt travels up to Huntsville this week to take on Sparkman, a dangerous team, so we'll see how that one goes. When we come back, we're going to talk about Clay Chalkville and their big win over Gardendale.
Jefferson Memorial Funeral Home and Gardens is home-owned and operated by the Seal family. I've known Eddie Seal and his son Adam for over 25 years. They're community-oriented and, more importantly, good folks who know how to take care of people in their time of need. That's how Jefferson Memorial became Trussville's funeral home and cemetery. Jefferson Memorial is located at 1591 Gadsden Highway. You can call them at 322-0543. Before your need arises, let Jefferson Memorial family take care of your family.
Welcome back. The Clay Chalkville Cougars traveled up to Gardendale Friday night, Scott, and they got a much-needed victory.
They really did, and as you and I were talking during the break, they jumped out to a big lead, then had to hold on for dear life, but some pretty savvy strategy down the stretch.
Well, Clay faced a big 3rd and 7 on this last drive of the ball game for them. They hit Nico Collins on a long pass. They get inside the Gardendale 5. Run the clock out, make Gardendale use up all their timeouts, so they turn it over on downs inside the 5. I'm sure they would have liked to have gotten that touchdown and punched in and put it away. But they leave Gardendale with no time, basically. Gardendale's left to throw a Hail Mary pass from their own end zone, and that's not going to do.
Right, and Hood comes in with Nico Collins at strong safety, I suppose, on defense. So you put your best athlete back there to break up anything. I'm sure the Georgia Bulldogs wish they'd come up with a plan like that to finish their game.
Yep. So let's talk a little bit about where Clay sets up in the region now. They were in danger of being a third-place team in the region if they would have lost this game to Gardendale. A lot of people thought they were going to lose this game. They thought that Clay was off the tracks. But you got to remember about Clay, they're a champion.
That's right.
And they have been, right up in the upper echelon. Sometimes it's, when you're that way, even though things aren't going well, you're still going to knock people out.
We're so unaccustomed to seeing Clay lose at all, much less 2 games in a regular season. But let's look at those 2 games. One was an arch rival in Pinson that Pinson is up for every year, and it just after 10 years it caught up. And the other loss was a 7A team, so in one of the better 7A teams in the north. So we're going to find out exactly what James Clemens has in just a few weeks. They'll finish the season with Trussville. Those are not losses to be embarrassed about. They're just unusual if you're Clay Chalkville, because Clay Chalkville over the last 3 years simply does not lose on the field.
Well, Clay gets a little bit of a break this week. They get Carver coming to town, so they should, keep rolling there and get themselves in a better playoff position. So when we come back, we're going to have Players of the Week and predictions for you for this week's games.
Trussville Vision Care is now proud to offer sports vision training for athletes. This sports-specific training improves hand-eye coordination and reaction time. As a former college athlete, Dr. Steele knows how important perfect vision is to succeed on the athletic field. For athletes, 20/20 vision is not enough. Trussville Vision Care.
Jefferson Memorial Funeral Home and Gardens is home-owned and operated by the Seal family. I've known Eddie Seal and his son Adam for over 25 years. They're community-oriented and, more importantly, good folks who know how to take care of people in their time of need. That's how Jefferson Memorial became Trussville's funeral home and cemetery. Jefferson Memorial is located at 1591 Gadsden Highway. You can call them at 322-0543. Before your need arises, let Jefferson Memorial family take care of your family.
Welcome back. We'll start with our Players of the Week, Scott. For Hewitt, we got to give it to Elliot McElwain. Had a great ball game, scored a couple of touchdowns, had the long 50-yard run to ice it.
And very deserving. He had a good night all the way around. But honestly, Friday night you could have picked about 4, maybe 5 different guys that were legitimate contenders for Player of the Week. Elliott's as good a choice as any, and he's had a great season.
And for Clay Chalkville, Nico Collins, another great ball game for the 5-star.
Yeah, and he has not had a great game every single week, and not always of his own doing. Sometimes they haven't been able to get the ball to him. A lot of defense focusing on Nico this year, but he really stepped up Friday night and looked like the Nico that we know and that we've seen for the last 2 or 3 years, actually.
And they're going to need that going forward.
They're absolutely going to have him.
All right, prediction time. Let's go ahead and get into these. We'll start with one we think is pretty easy, Center Point coming over to Pinson. We've seen Center Point twice. They've been, pretty much destroyed by our other 2 area teams here. They travel over to Pinson coming off a bye week.
They do, and this is, again, somewhat of a rivalry game. They're right down the road from each other. A lot of these kids know each other, played youth league ball against each other, so it can be an interesting game. Pinson, as we know, tends to really get up for the big games and not so much for games that they should win easily. I'm afraid they're going to be off just a little bit, not enough for Center Point to catch them. Center Point's lost 14 in a row. I'm going with Pinson 13-27. Pinson could win bigger than that, but I think they're going to probably play down a little bit.
Well, I think it will be a little bit bigger than that, just simply because Pinson's defense is so good.
Right.
And Center Point's offense has been pretty atrocious up to this point. So I like Pinson in this one, 31-0. They're going to get a couple of defensive touchdowns in this one.
Okay.
Carver at Clay, a game Clay should win.
It is, and I think it's a game where Clay continues to tune up and get ready for a playoff run. That was a big win last week. I look for Clay Chalkville to just really be going full speed Friday night. I'm expecting the Cougars to take this one 42-6. I think it's going to be a really long, hard night for Carver.
I'm right there with you. I like Clay in this one, 42-13. Okay, Hewitt, a dangerous game here as they travel up to Sparkman for this one. your thoughts on Hewitt at Sparkman.
This is going to be a mental test more than anything else for Hewitt-Trussville. They were pointing to Bob Jones. That was the game the kids wanted. They wanted to win it, and they won it in fine fashion. They can't get caught here, and it could be a trap game. Hewitt has been averaging 52 points a week. I'm going to say that they're off a little bit, and they only pick up 51 points this week. Sparkman, 20. I just don't think they're as good as Hewitt-Trussville, but if Hewitt doesn't come with the mental game, they could drop this one on the road.
I think this one could be closer, and by closer I mean a little bit closer than we would have thought, but I think they do hold Hewitt under 50 points. They have a pretty good defense up at Sparkman. Not much under 50. I like Hewitt in this one, 48-28.
Okay.
All right, that's our show for the night. We'll see you back here next week, and we'll talk about all these ball games. For Scott Buttram, I'm Zach Steele. Good night, everybody.